From Lusaka to the world, we're turning up the mic. Truth with no filter, cutting through the hype. C&H, bringing light to the dark. With every word, they're igniting the spark.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Real Talk with C&H, the podcast that promotes real talk and real growth. Today's episode is episode 16 and we have moved powerfully.
For sure.
Today's topic is a very powerful one, and the tradition on this podcast, we love to introduce ourselves so that you know who you are talking to or who you're going to listen to rather. My name is Cyprian Katongo Jr. and I'm the co-host of Real Talk with C&H, and I hand over to my co-host also to introduce himself.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're having a good day. I'm the co-host of Real Talk with C&H, and my name is Hussein Dodia. Thank you very much.
Today's topic, I'll allow my co-host to powerfully introduce it and also give the context of what we'll be discussing. Over to you, Mr. Dodia.
Thank you, Mr. Katongo. It's a privilege to introduce the topic. I know you're the one who is busy inciting us in the beginning, so now it's nice to have that privilege to do the same. Anyway, today's topic, as Mr. Katongo has mentioned, is episode 16, and we'll be looking at national industrialization and private investment. Basically, these two topics will be looked at independently, and also how we can fuse them in terms of Zambia's economy and Zambia's state of things. We'll also be looking at the benefits and the drawbacks of certain policies and mixed economies, and how we can improve on what we've done in the past and sort of propel us into the future. And so we're looking at these two aspects of an economy from the national perspective, and we're looking at it from a private investment perspective. From the outset, I would just like to say that I know that people might think that I'm against foreign direct investment or foreign investment. No, I am not. I am actually for it, but I am more concerned on how it is utilized and how it is used in the context of national development. So that's where we stand, and that's how we're going to look at this topic and how we're going to approach it, on the dynamics between how the nation can be self-sufficient and how the private sector can contribute and also benefit from that self-sufficiency. Thank you very much.
Trust me, today's topic is a very powerful one, and just to kickstart, the topic at hand, I think we can just start by looking at policy direction and also national confidence, which I think at the end of the day is priorities. Because we're looking at leadership.
Yes.
If leaders have policies which have direction in terms of how they can be implemented and also benefit the nation at the end of the day, I think it's important also to bring that aspect into focus. And also that at the end of the day also builds the national confidence. People are able to see the leaders who are in power able to deliver at the end of the day. And also under this we can, and I know Mr. Dodia is eagerly waiting to expand on the other points. I just wanted to add briefly,
No problem.
Because I know the big man here, the passion is there. So at this particular time, I'll allow him to briefly tackle on infrastructure, energy, and manufacturing. I think these two, are very important under what the topic at hand, starting with the first aspect. Over to you, Mr. Dodia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Katongo. Yes, industries, as we're talking about national industrialization, and it's very important what he's just mentioned, which we said energy, infrastructure, and in manufacturing. Yeah. So these are the three aspects that we had also discussed in our previous topic, and these are aspects that we feel that can benefit the industry, the nation at large. So when we say national industrialization in these areas, how do we go about it? So firstly, I remember that we had spoken about corruption, where we said that we cannot fight it at a grassroots level. It must be fought from the top, right? The top management, and sort of trickles down. With national industrialization, I believe the opposite can work, and the opposite will work. You must, not only must you look at your macro economy, you must look at your micro economy, right? We know, we have heard about all these figures of GDP growth and economic booms and boost in copper production. These are all macroeconomic indicators of how the nation is doing compared to the rest of the world, right? It's sort of a gauge to determine how good you are or how bad you are compared to the rest of the world. But we must also consider microeconomic indicators, because these indicators measure how good we are from the past, right? How we've performed in the past, and if we're improving or we're doing worse. Now, I noticed that in Zambia, we do not have many microeconomic indicators. And I believe this is an issue of statistics, of getting the statistics right. But I think this is where we should start, especially in those industries, manufacturing, energy, and infrastructure. The reason being is because microeconomic indicators will help you gauge how productive you've been from your previous years or your previous cycles. Remember, we discussed about how a country is like a company, right? You have your indicators that measure you against other businesses, and you have those indicators that measure you against yourself, right? And those indicators that measure you against yourself will determine how you perform compared to other businesses, isn't it? We've always seen that's been the case. The company can look, or the country can look very good on the outside, but inside it's totally rotten. Yeah, things are difficult, things are hard, the poverty gaps are so high. And what does this come from? This comes from focusing only on macro indicators. So we need to introduce microeconomic indicators. I would like to give an example of the USA. The USA, especially with the boom of the coming of the stock market, introduced indicators that can measure national household income, that can measure wages, national labor wages over a certain period. They can measure things like employment, national employment. What's the percentage that's employed by the private sector? What's the percentage that's employed by the government? It can measure things like utilities, the effectiveness of utilities. How good have been the utility companies in the past, and how good are they now? So these microeconomic indicators give you a judge or a basis on how you're performing. It's sort of like a self-check, a self-performance check. And these are very important, because then you can start to build your economy from the ground up. You start to make sure, it starts to ensure that even the lowest person in the food chain is treated just as well as the highest person in the food chain. This is why you see a situation in highly developed countries where everyone has the same rights. There's no special person, you know what I mean? Whether you're a politician, whether this person is your father, you're treated like every other person on the street. It's because they understand that you need to have a certain level or standard of living, of productivity, of maintenance, security, for you to reach your dreams, or for you to achieve, as they call it, the American dream. So this is where we need to start. In terms of national industrialization, and in terms of energy, infrastructure, and manufacturing, we need to see how can we start at the grassroots? How can we get the person in the rural area employed and earning a living through these processes? Once we start doing that, we build a strong foundation for private investment. You see, so this is where the two topics link. Sorry, I've gone a bit ahead of myself.
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
I wanted to pose the question right now.
Yeah.
Let me pose the question right now. Having looked at, industrialization in Zambia, I think at Song Chashupako, Teches Song, forgive us. Let's look at the progress and challenges which face this before we go to the private investment.
No, for sure.
I think it's important that your listeners get a feel of what we're looking at. I want to pose this question to you, Mr. Dodia.
Yes, sir.
Briefly, let's look at the progress, the current progress, and also the challenges which are being faced in Zambia.
Thank you, Mr. Katongo. The progress that I feel we're making is in, like I said, the macro economy. We're introducing avenues for business in the long term, which would obviously highly benefit our people through, as we said, the 3 million ton copper production, the 10 million ton maize production, the self-sufficiency in energy by 2031. All these aspects are very good for the economy, right, for the country. But we also need to look at the situation on the ground. There's consistent load shedding, food prices are up, fuel, yes, we know has gone down a bit, but not substantially, not enough to obviously support or grow our economy. So these are the aspects that we need to look at in the medium to short term. How can we ensure that we survive to meet those visions or those goals? You see what I mean? Your country needs to continue operate, it needs to continue produce. So I think that is the major drawback in us. I feel like, yes, we do have some sort of idea in terms of macroeconomic sufficiency. And when I say that, like, I mean on the national scale, in terms of Zambia itself, not in terms of the citizen in the individual. That is where I feel that we are focusing our strength on how Zambia will look to the rest of the world. Our major drawback is we're not considering how that will affect us, you see. We talked about the strengthening of the dollar. We talked about how the copper exports and tax incentives from the government, tax breaks and incentives from the mining companies is what is mainly supporting us, you see. So we have this issue of focusing on more of the international vision and not focusing on the citizen and empowering the citizen's vision first. And I know there has to be a balance. There has to be this sort of give and take where we're appealing to the international community, but at the same time we're supporting our local communities. But I think that balance can be more struck towards the local side in supporting local and growing and empowering the local communities, and maybe restructuring the way we do business in terms of with the rest of the world, in terms of giving maximizing benefits to the outsider instead of to the citizen first. That would be, I would say, my major drawback.
To just support your point there, it's important that leadership drives policies which support industrial hubs. Here we're looking at tech integration, the local manufacturing, like you have said it, and also skills development. As Zambians being trained to be those leaders, so to say, eventual leaders who are going to drive Zambia's economy to be good and also engage with like you have put it, the world market.
Yes.
So I think at the end of the day, skills development is very important, in as much as creating industrial hubs and implementing certain policies which can help other industries, be it agriculture, health, and everything. But skills development is the number one factor when it comes to looking at the locals.
Yes.
Because the locals need to be also valued more, like Mr. Dodia has put it.
They need to provide value.
So for them to provide value, they need those skills development, which can be instrumental in driving the Zambia's economy. You cannot just be having people doing the same skills.
Yes, exactly.
Which goal are you looking at to achieve?
Exactly.
When you're just having the same people having the same...
Being trained in the same skills
thing
over and over.
So it's important that the aspect of progress-wise.
Yes.
We have seen there are some industries which have been built, established and everything, but I'm just bringing back Mr. Dodia's point from previous conversations where we mentioned skills development is very important when it comes to looking at the locals.
Yes.
Value them and give them those skills, and also create education systems, education system policies which can be introduced in these, what do you call this, motivator?
Yes, true.
So that people,
CSOs,
and everything, so that people are made to have that mindset to say, okay, when it comes to developmental projects, they're already acquainted, and their minds already oriented at the same time that, okay, we're going to engage this field or this industry already prepared.
Yes.
So I think just wanted to bring that point into focus and just supporting Mr. Dodia's powerful points there.
No, thank you very much. Thank you.
Having said that, let's look at the obstacles which have been faced in the industry altogether. Just a general view. Your take on that, Mr. Dodia. As usual, your powerful points.
No, definitely. Thank you very much, Mr. Katongo. Industry, obviously, on a macro scale, I would say the biggest issue we have and that we have been having is obviously load shedding, our energy issue, infrastructure that seems to be outdated, and I think also the IT sector. We have an IT sector that is trying to get out of survival mode, but the truth is, with a load shedding management system, it's very difficult to develop your information technology systems, your bases, to have a smooth operational efficiency in your country. So I think that's where we need to start. Like we said before, the pillars of building a great economy is food, energy, transport, and health, right? Education, obviously, to top it off. So we need to ensure that these 5 areas are working efficiently, they are well maintained, they are well supported, they're well looked after. So this also goes back to my to my aspect of the national industrialization, the one that we're still looking at.
Yeah.
We as a nation have to make sure that our systems are working effectively before we can approach the outside world.
Yeah.
You know, there's that saying that says you can't help people if you haven't helped yourself. It's very true. If you are an unhappy person, how can you spread happiness? If you can't feel love, how can you love others? You see, it's very difficult. So we need to make sure as a country that as Zambians, as a nation, we are looked after, we are taken care of, we have systems that work to the benefit of citizens, to the benefit of investors, but at the same time, we also need to make sure that we can offer these services, this value to the rest of the world. So that's where it comes in, and I think that's our major obstacle. We have but we are still in the process of trying to work on ourselves. And I think another issue I would also add, based on that, is that we tend to focus more on what the international community thinks of us or sees of us, you see, instead of focusing on the citizen first. So I think we need to shift that mindset, because that is a major obstacle. That will also help us move from the macro thinking to the micro thinking. To thinking, okay, yes, we know ministers, MPs, need these resources, these. But remember, the people also need this. And the people don't have the resources that MPs have. They don't have the resources that councillors have. They don't have the resources that ministers have, you see. So there's that safety net for the top and sort of this neglect for the bottom. Yeah, thank you.
I've been looked at that. I think at this particular time, I'll hand over also. I'll bring you back. I know you seem to be eager to give that aspect of private investment. Briefly give a context of the angles we'll be looking at the importance of private investment.
Thank you very much, Sir Katongo.
In Zambia.
Yes, definitely in Zambia. Okay, so the reason why we spoke about national industrialization is because I wanted you to understand first where we're coming from and where our issues might be, and how private investment can sort of help and complement these aspects, but also where private investment can be dangerous. So this is where now we start to talk about private investment. So as I said from before, private investment is good when utilized well. So when I think of what we're just from speaking of, when I think of private investment and areas where I feel that we could be lacking or could be having issues, it's the same areas we just spoke about, right? Infrastructure, manufacturing, health, transportation, education, right? Because these are areas that we need to sort of develop to allow us to thrive self-sufficiently, but also to be able to do business with the rest of the world, to provide value. Okay, so this is the balance that you have to strike with your national output versus what you're giving investors. Remember, private investment is not free, right? It's a loan. It's just massive loans in which there's going to be a benefit, or it's an investment, right? Like as it said, an investment in itself. They're investing in something, so they're expecting to earn a return through private investment, right? It's not your money. The development will happen for you, but they expect a return on that money, right? So we need to analyze ways in which we can deal with private investment, how firstly the investment model works, the policies behind the investment models, and most importantly, the benefits. How are benefits reaped? How are benefits shared? And there are so many aspects that we can go into, but I just want to give a brief overview of private investment and how it links to our national agenda. Thank you.
There we can see now from that powerful context what the importance of private investment in Zambia. We can see now, based on what Mr. Dodia has mentioned there, we can simply see now economic growth. Private investment can stimulate economic growth by creating jobs. And at the end of the day, this increases productivity. Like we mentioned there,
Exactly.
manufacturing.
Exactly.
So it means that now the nation has enough money to fund other industries. So it's important that the benefits, rather, importance of having private investment in Zambia, economic growth, like we mentioned, not to go into deep and confuse you listeners. Infrastructure development, we were powerfully, explain what it is and how this is very important. Also to look at the private investment, how this can help Zambia develop. I think infrastructure such as roads, bridges, and energy systems. Here we can even break it down to look at the topic, the angle we'll be looking at load shedding. What alternative energy resources can be utilized, and also them being a long-term thing, not just being a short-term. Then it just ends there. Because at the end of the day, for you to have productivity in the nation, it's important that you have a stable energy. And here we're looking at load shedding, it being completed, just eradicated at the end of the day, just removed. We shouldn't be hearing about load shedding. It's a funny situation. The friend was, discussing with you. She's based in California.
Okay.
When she asked, I've been seeing posts from your country. But what is load shedding? I was like, it's very difficult to even explain
Very true.
So I had to explain, there's power cuts and everything. That happens in this century we are in. So again, at the end of the day, if you're looking at private investment, how best can you engage foreign investors to come in when your energy is not stable? So I think at the end of the day, that also can affect your image out there. So I think it's important that the energy sector is well taken care of in the long run. And also, diversification of the economy. We shouldn't, like we mentioned, skills development. It means that people have different skills which can also contribute to the development of the country. We shouldn't just have a stream of people doing the same thing and hoping that development will happen at the end of the day. So if education system is put in place which focuses on diversification, like I mentioned, we're going to see a situation whereby different skills are put in together. And the example Mr. Dodia mentioned there, the tech. If people are well trained in AI and the likes, moving with time, I think also Zambia can also be put in that map, world map in terms of market-wise. Like, Zambia is also engaging with the latest technology. So it's important that Zambians, the diversification of the economy, industries are focused on that angle. And also job creation at the end of the day. People have jobs. And here we're going to see now, if people have jobs, issues of corruption, stealing of public funds won't be there because people have jobs. If people are well taken care of, they have income, they're able to take care of their families, they are able to invest in the country.
They have
security. And also other industries which are lacking, they can be pumped into the money which is being generated. Money can be pumped in back into those industries or support other industries which are lacking. Then we see a situation, even rural areas will be taken care of. I like to think developed countries around the world, rural areas, you don't even say rural areas. You find the rural areas more advanced than the urban area. So it's important that the rural areas also, eventually, even rural areas will be taken care of at the end of the day. So under job creation. Having said that, the benefits to the world market, just to add on to Mr. Dodia's point, increased trade. People already seen that you are trustworthy to be invested in. So already there trade, increased trade, people be coming to you. There's a country called Zambia. Just go there and invest. Their systems are good. Their policies, everything, they take care of their people. There's skills development, all the different sectors. Zambia is powerfully, aligned or arranged. There you can see that the people be like, oh, we can go there. Let's go and invest in Zambia. And also access to natural resources. I think at this particular time, I'll allow Mr. Dodia, because this one I can tell from his eyes right now that.
Please, go ahead.
Let me touch. Because I love Mr. Dodia's point when it comes to copper. So yeah, we're looking at access to natural resources. Zambia's natural resources such as copper, cobalt, and gemstones can be accessed by global companies. And of course, here we're looking at them also understanding that the policies which are put in place, which don't allow them to exploit the Zambian economy. They know that, okay, Zambians already established well. They put industrial policies which hinder us not from exploiting the people. So here, access to natural resources. Zambians will be able to now to engage also in different industries like mining. We were going to have miners and well-established mining companies. Of course, having established that people have jobs, there's no corruption. So I think even Zambians can be
a healthy society.
Yeah, in that sense, and also market expansion. We can see that now from there. We can see that having the skills development, diversification of the economy, just to say in general, we see now that the market will expand. We have a situation where Zambians are able to even start doing uranium. Other advanced technologies. Innovations. We can finally say that, safely say when that time comes, when Zambians can even engage in, nuclear energy, and also sending satellites to space. Why not? Yeah, and also being the leading country which is inventing China new medicine on the global scale. Zambia can be like that with China market expansion and also economic integration. Here we're looking at Zambia's participation in global trade and investment can also promote economic integration and fostering cooperation and growth among nations, from Zambia with other African nations, and also the world at large. Zambia will be that map, prime example. If you want to use an example, even people outside, they will be learning about Zambia's economy.
Exactly.
In that sense.
They'll be interested.
Yeah. Addition to the benefits of private investment, like I mentioned, technology transfer. I think we won't touch on that one. We've expanded on it, talked about it a lot.
Okay.
And also improve the business environment. Private investment can drive improvements in Zambia's business environment. And promoting, again, transparency. Here, if everything is put in place, there's no corruption, there's no stealing of public funds, and then transparency will be effective. And then there'll be
communication.
There'll
be transparency.
And also leaders' integrity will be seen.
Exactly.
That's it. So to say, and also increase the competitives. Just so much to understand that that's so much is right. But private investment can increase Zambia's, like I said, in the global market, attracted more investment and promoting economic growth. And then from there, we're going to see a situation whereby Zambia, like I've strongly emphasized, that Zambia will be now the prime go-to nation. Let's look at Zambia. Zambia is has a good economy. Zambians are well developed. So that's the benefits of private investment in the context of Zambia. That being said, that allow Mr. Dodia to add on. You can even hear the chair shaking. the topic has been very powerful. Over to you, Mr. Dodia.
No, thank you very much, Mr. Katongo. And I like the points you've laid down. You've really laid down the benefits of private investment and how it can help boost our economy. I would just like to start with how can we get there? How can we start observing and feeling these benefits and making sure that they're not just kept to a few elite or to the top, and they're shared by each and every citizen. Because at the end of the day, the resources, the trees, the natural resources, the animals, they belong to each and every Zambian, right? One Zambia, one nation. So we are each entitled to benefit from the government's endeavors or the nation's endeavors. So where do we start? I would start looking at, me, I'm always for the people. So you've explained the benefits of reaping the private investment, but how do we start going about reaping that investment, right? I would first look at our labor laws, right? We need a strong form of unionization in terms of the labor force in Zambia. Zambian labor is not protected, is not very protected. There are loopholes in which many people are exploited, obviously because of poverty, the state of the economy, and getting what you can get. You see what I mean? As long as you're making money. But if you have an efficient system of labor laws, and this comes in from, like I mentioned, after you sorted out your country, you have a strong productive base. You know the value of your people. So as you're approaching private investment or private investors, you need to make sure that these private investors ensure that they're doing firstly what they came here to do, but secondly they're making sure that that the people who are working for them or the nation at large is receiving the benefit. Now, I want to make this very clear. The benefit to the nation is having the private investor invest in Zambia. That's the benefit to the nation at large. The benefit to the individuals is having a stable job, having stable income, ensuring that labor laws protect them, ensuring that their rights are protected, having health insurance, having car insurance, having access to security. So these things can be infused into the negotiations with private investors. You see, when you're dealing with multinationals, you have policies in place where you say that, okay, if you're operating as a multinational and you want to invest in Zambia, you have to have a minimum of 500 Zambian permanent employees. That's it, you see. You must employ 500 Zambians, you must make them permanent employees, they must have health insurance, they must have this, they must have that, all these bills must be covered as you come and invest, you see. So in that way, you're tweaking your investment proposal, not just to suit the top brass, you see, but to make sure that those benefits are felt throughout the communities. So that's where I would start. I would start with ensuring a strong union and ensuring that wage laws are observed. There has to be a minimum wage that we adhere to, especially for private investors, because these are people who are coming in without having much of an idea of what's happening in the country. So you have to set those standards for them. You say, okay, look, this is what the minimum a Zambian or the average Zambian can live off of, but you guys have to set at this rate. You have to cover this and this and this and this expenses. If it means cutting off a certain tax percentage that the investor owes you, I would rather do that. I would rather get a smaller percentage of tax as the national economy to ensure that the citizen gets a good life, you see. So this is the way that we structure private investment to not only obviously reap the rewards from investment, but to also consistently benefit our communities and our economy and help it grow. Another way I believe we can do it is obviously by measuring what percentage that these private investors contribute to your economy. So let's say, I want to give an example. The mining sector, right, contributes quite a lot.
You're powerful.
Yeah, I know that's where we are. So I know people know copper. Yeah. So the mining sector is the number one contributor to the national budget, right? So you have to be able to tweak or to sort of modify the investment proposals in a sense of where they do not only increase or contribute to your output in terms of a national scale, but they must also contribute to national development, right? So you have build, operate, and transfer contracts, right? So these are basically contracts that run for 10, 15, 25 years. And basically the investor comes in, builds the infrastructure for you, employs the people, your locals, obviously, citizens. He might have a few experts there at the top teaching everyone how to do this and that and work the systems. But at the same time, it also covers the other pillars that you mentioned. It covers infrastructure development. It covers education. It covers energy. It covers health. It covers, you see, because as you're introducing these investors, like you said, they're bringing new and innovative technologies. Those are technologies our people should learn, right? So with a build, operate, transfer mechanism, it's basically the investor comes in, invests, operates the business, ensures your people learns the business, they make their revenues, and they move out, right? But obviously investors don't want to do that. They want to keep the business running. So from a build, operate, transfer, it becomes sort of almost an indefinite investment contract. So what do I mean? The investor will come in, build, operate, ensure that they are reaping the rewards or from the investment. Once that is cleared, they then come out of the system and say, okay, as Zambians run it, right? I just want this percentage every month, or every annually, or what, or dividends, or this, and that's it. You guys, this is your industry right now. So those three aspects, your ability to create a strong union, your ability to manage wage limits, and your ability to make sound private investment decisions that you can gauge the long-term effects for. and that those long-term effects are benefiting your people first. You know, there's a story that I like to share with people. The city of Chicago was in debt. There was a time they were in debt a couple of years ago. I'm not sure to exactly the year, but you can read about it online. They sold their parking fees to the government of Saudi Arabia for 75 years. And in turn, I think they were asking for like a loan of $1 billion or something. But if you think about it, Chicago is a bustling city. Can you imagine all that revenue has been lost by the state of Chicago for the next 75 years, which is now going into the coffers of the United Arab Emirates. So you see, it's these investment proposals that we need to now start looking at and saying, look, okay, when these people come and invest, by the time they're done, by the time they feel that they don't want to invest anymore, they give up, where are we going to be? Would they have drained us, or would they have put us in a better place? So in my perspective, in terms of private investment, those are my 3 key areas. And also, like you said, Mr. Katongo, I think it's very important is information. We need a government body or a national body that can actually get statistics on people, that can actually read the statistics of wage limits, that can read the statistics of income households, that can read the statistics of the homeless, that can read the statistics of those staying on the streets. Because this information will help us build those, help us build and make those decisions. If you give me wrong information, I'll act on wrong information. You see, no matter how clever I am, no matter how much I know this, I'm relying on you to give me the information that's on the ground. So I'll act on that information. If you tell me only 5,000 people are unemployed in Zambia, I'll believe there's no poverty in Zambia. And everyone is just talking nonsense, you see. But if you tell me 2-3/4 of the Zambian population is poor, then now I can make the right decisions. So that's the 4th aspect that I believe should be at the core of any type of decision making, any type of national agenda. You need to have the information of what's happening on the ground. And this is where, like I said before, I commend the American people. As much as they have their own issues, they know what's happening with their people. They know how to service the average citizen, even the homeless citizen, even those on the welfare state. I mean, we see them, right? In movies, in what. These are people who, regardless of their situation, they have faith in the government to make a plan. They know the reason why they are where they are is because they did drugs, or they were lazy, or they did this. It's not because the state failed to help them. No. The state is always working. It's smooth functioning. It's effective. It's efficient. That is the level we need to get to now. We need to start looking at our state machinery, grease the wheels, make sure it's running smoothly, effectively, and then we can look at helping other people. So in terms of private investment and in terms of developing ourselves, as this whole topic has explained, I will just summarize it briefly. We cannot only look at our macro indicators and theories. We need to look at what our people need now and what can be done on the ground to build that future that we are trying to create. Because what's going to happen is we're going to have a situation where you have promises but unfulfilled. You see? Because you cannot solve the medium to short-term needs of the people. You see? There's always this thing of focusing on the long, and yes, I know it's important. I've also said it before. It is important to think about the future. But remember that human beings have short-term needs. We need food every day. We need electricity every day. We need transport every day. We need energy every day. So there are these things, these nuances that we also have to deal with. There has to be a balance between your national outlook and what your citizens of your nation think of the nation, or how they feel being in that nation, or how they interact with each other. The synergy within your nation should be just as efficient and effective as the synergy you have with the outside world. The confidence that the outside world has in you is the same confidence that your citizens should have in you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Mr. Dodia, as usual, with his very powerful points. Just here busy nodding and yes. I think
too much.
he has powerfully outlined the importance of why we want to have this discussion. And having said that, I think this has been a very powerful discussion. And looking at, as usual in this podcast, you love to be realistic and also give fresh perspective, to certain topics which are overlooked and only dealt with when complications or problems arise. But our podcast is that podcast which aims at giving fresh perspectives of some topics like the topic we had today, and also give you the listeners that raw information so that you can also adhere to and also educate other people, because at the end of the day, information, like Mr. Dodia said, at the end of the day, information which is spread, which is accurate and correct and beneficial to the development of Zambia in the context of Zambia, we can see now progress happening. So having said that, I won't add much because Mr. Dodia is powerfully outlined. Having said that, I think this has been a very powerful discussion, and I hope you join us next week. Not even hope. You join us next time for another one, and have a blessed weekend. Mr. Dodia, bye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Katongo, and thank you very much, listeners. I know I've got a big mouth, but we hope to see you again on the next episode. And this has been The Real Talk with CNH. Thank you.